I don't know, I'm just messing around at this point. Yeah, we could definitely do something like that. So why don't we just bump up this to a very large number and try playing with it a little bit. And what I want to do is like take the eraser and just kind of throw this over here. The idea looks kind of like so this. Kind of gives a little bit of a hand painted vibe. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just messing with stuff. We'll see how this like very poorly made texture actually looks here in a minute. Sometimes trial and error is the best option. It is. Sometimes it is not only the best option, but it is also the only option. But I am not worried about not knowing what. I'm not worried about looking dumb. We all already know that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So we can all move past this. All right, so we'll save this one as like spectral halo, and since we've already done some work getting in our stuff here, we'll do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and blur it up. So, you know, something like this, because why the hell not, right? And let's go ahead and import that texture, and we'll swap it out, because I just, you know, like we can mess with this map all day long, and I want to see if it's even worth it, because it's obviously not the simplest thing on the planet to mess with. All right, so that's our spectral halo, you know, piece of art. So we'll throw that in there. We'll go to our test sky material, and we are going to basically just unhook it right there. So we're going to go to our sun. That's our sun color and everything like that. Where is our actual sun? Yeah, this is our moon here. This is a texture sample of the moon. So we did like all this sort of stuff here. Object radius, input data, divide by 1. Divide by object radius. Wait. Oh yeah, we've got all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to need to copy this entire thing, basically. So this will be spectral halo texture, is what I'm going to call it. Alright, so for this texture, we're going to do this spectral halo thing here. It's pretty damn funny, actually. Alright, so you can kind of barely see what's going on there. But it's the spectral halo is coming out of it. It's just, it's too small. Alright, so we've got our camera position, our light direction, all that stuff. Our displacement vector, great. So what here makes the size? We have object radius. We got divide by 1. Clamp, min and max. Subtract 0.5, 0.5. Make float 2. Multiply by -1. I'll flip it around. Make float 2 out of these sorts of things. I think it's basically that we need to subtract 0.5 by 0.5, and we're going to clamp it from 0 to 1. And we want to multiply it by something before we clamp, perhaps. Want to multiply by like 0.25, and that'll make it bigger. Is that true? Well, we subtracted 0.5 by 0.5, so we would have expected that to be at the middle. But it's not really. Goes from 0 to 1. Is the texture just not centered? Probably not. Alright, well, let's see. Multiply by 0.25. What if we multiply by 0.1? Should make it much bigger. Maybe 0.5. Let's swap out this texture sample with something else real quick that we know is centered. Like we can just make it use the moon real quick. Yeah, so we know it's centered. We have a spectral halo of a moon. But moon within a moon. So we're gonna just throw some guideposts on here real quick. Then we'll make a better spectral halo thing. And let's fill in the middle. How come that does not fill in very well? That looks better. Alright. We'll get our eraser out. And we will just erase a few things. And then we'll blur the hell out of it. Let's see how that looks in there. Maybe a little bit better? It still doesn't look really centered, does it? But we know it is centered. How hard is doing that so far? Well, if I knew already what the hell I was doing, it would be a lot easier, but still just messing around with stuff. It's not always as simple as I think it should be. Right now I'm trying to get this texture. It's not really cooperating with me. And I'm just gonna save it with the damn X on it. I didn't re-import it. What am I doing? Yeah, so it looks like this now. Alright, so if we multiply this, we should do it by like 0.25. Alright. Yeah. Good point. Well, I think probably, I mean, it just looks like we'd have better luck using textures for this sort of stuff, to be honest. So what we'd want to do here is also multiply. We have the alpha multiplied out. The reason why we have some issues here is because of some clamping with some sampling. So we'd want also a multiply by a constant, which would be our brightness for this texture. So we could have like a 0.25 or something. And I think Adam would probably be able to do a much better job of creating, like a spectral halo texture for us. And I think that's probably our best bet, as opposed to doing it in math, because the math stuff's, I think Adam can do a better job than that. Artist will make that look a lot prettier than I will. So I think, yeah, this spectral halo math that we did, just we're gonna get rid of it, because trash tier halo effects. Get a lot better stuff done in textures. So that's something to write down. And we do want a rotation on this. So how would we do a rotation on this texture? Let's see. Do they already have some sort of... Alright, let's see. The rotator expression outputs UV coordinates in the form of a 2-channel vector value that can be used to create rotating textures. Okay, so right here, after this clamp 0 to 1, we've got our actual, thing. Oh no. Let's get some more room because we need it. And once we get kind of this material hooked up better, we'll take a pass at, making all this driven from blueprints in the game. So like you'll be able to, I think they do have a rotate. Well, yes, Evo Streams, I think I've found, I think it's this guy right here, this rotator. Ah, I'm putting it in the wrong place. It should be right in front. So... And it might be interesting if we had a defaults to game time if not specified. So let's see, there is a time input here. This time continues regardless. So if I just hook in time, it does that. So we can do like a multiply by like, you can put in like a very slow rotate on it or something. I don't know if that would if that would work or not. Evo Streams, thank you for following. I am back after a couple days. I was out fishing with my dad on a lake, baking in the hot sun, so my brain is shot. And then I had to like come back home and deal with plumbing issues yesterday. That was pretty funny. I mean, and by funny I mean shitty, and I mean like literally shitty. So that was. So I'm kind of like, today. Gotta take time to go fishing. It's true. Thankfully, though, my problems were not expensive. Alright, so we're going to have basically a rotator, but we also want like an initial rotation. So we should have like an add in here for our rotation amount to start with, right? So let me throw a constant. So the question is, what is it used for the rotator? Let's see the full docs on it. Let me pull that up. Rotator outputs UV texture coordinates. The speed specifies the speed of the rotator. Okay, so they have two. Well, they have a center x, a center y speed. All right, so they have a center x, a center y, a speed, and a const coordinate. Only used if coordinate is not hooked up. Okay, so the speed that they have here is kind of how fast it's supposed to be. And we can actually change like the rotation center. Well, that's interesting. We can do that. It's good to know. We can rotate it about all sorts of different places. So the speed being like, 1. So we can change the speed there. I kind of don't like it that there's not an input for speed on the rotator. That seems kind of like really obvious that you might want to change that speed. And the time takes the value used to determine the current rotation position. This is usually a time expression provided to provide a constant rotation, but constant or scalar parameter can be used as well as special offset. So we have a rotator. Alright, so they don't really have that much. It's basically, here's time. Kind of what I'm thinking is like, how does time translate into rotation angle? So I'm just going to change this to 0, and I'm going to see. So let's say we add in 1. It looks like maybe time is, if we do 0, it looks like this. If we do 3.14. If we do 90, no. How in the hell are they? Yeah, okay, we'll just do 0, 0.1, 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess if I'm going to do this rotator and actually figure it out, I should just say the speed is 1. And then that should help me out here. So we have 3. Alright, so we have 90. Is that a 90-degree turn? No, it doesn't look like it. 3.14. Does that look like a 180 to you? Looks like a 180 to me. Okay, so its time is in radians. I wish that was in the docs instead of having to mess around with stuff. So we could have like an initial angle and then we could have a speed on this thing. So let's do, how do we set up an input? Material expression. I think we have sun color. Is there like a right-click promote on these things to promote a one of these things? Convert to parameter. Yeah, let's do it. So this is going to be halo angle. Alright, so we're going to have the slider min at 0 and the slider max should be, can we do formulas? Yeah. Alright, so 6.28. So 0 to 360, the default value should be 0. And we're going to want to have a constant here, which is going to be convert to parameter, the halo rotation speed. And that'll be default of 0, slider min at 0, slider max at like 10. So let's just say, what if it's 10? So we're in a gigantic blender. So let's see, what if we put the rotation at ridiculous speeds? Oh god. Shh. Why did this not apply? It's supposed to not be moving. I hate it when it does this. I don't think it's saving again. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, so Unreal Material Editor is sometimes doing this where it'll have a screwed up value that doesn't get saved. And I don't know what triggers it, but in order to fix it, you just have to notice that it happened randomly and delete the node and remake it. I have not seen any other way to fix it. Reloading the editor doesn't fix it. None of that stuff. It's kind of disappointing. And I'm not sure what causes it either, but it has to do with hitting the apply button and something getting screwed up. And then nothing shows up in the logs to say, like, you know, failed to save or something. So, I don't know. Of course, we can also take this to maximum bloom if you want to. If you want to do some crazy stuff, basically we want to put the halo brightness right here. So we should probably have halo opacity, halo brightness. So So let's convert this to a parameter. Let's see. Default value of 0.25. Slider min at 0. Slider max at 10 or something like that. Let me do that. And this will be the halo brightness. This game is pretty neat. What is it all about? Well, let me post you the website for it. So this is Dashkin. It is a high-speed platforming game. Right now I'm working on the visuals for some of the nighttime stuff, but some of the other stuff may give you a better idea, but this is just a visual exploration inside of Unreal that we're doing at the moment. But the game is about running fast, doing a bunch of stuff like that. Let me see if we've got like a test level that shows off any of this sort of stuff. I don't think we have a real level in the game yet that shows real gameplay, but this is kind of an earlier look level. And basically, you'll be running along these nice grasslands and forests and things like that, jumping and doing platforming stuff. And we may have some more technical sections where you can crawl through things, do stuff like that, and you'll be running away from enemies and throwing stuff at things and all sorts of crazy stuff. But one of the big things is that we've got really cool art from Adam Phillips, who's the artist. And we're kind of working on it like that. And this is not really representative of what everything's going to look like in the future. It's more of these are explorations to get the capabilities and test it out. Like this one right now, this is our piece of concept art that we're trying to match. And as you can see, the colors are all wrong, and like the art style is, like we want things looking very different than they are, but just basic stuff like here's a moon, here's how we would do those sorts of things and all that. And this is before we're going to throw like hopefully some really nice post-processing shaders and stuff like that. Yeah, here's the full thing. We'll throw really nice big post-processing shaders and things like that, put some toon stuff on there to really make it look good. And more like the cartoonish animations that Adam puts together. And some of the other stuff we were working on, like this is my ridiculous HD sunset sort of thing on water. We were just seeing if we could actually get things like, those God rays into the game. And there's other little things like, I guess it's not all built or something, but you can get these trees actually clipping the rays and all that sort of stuff nicely. But there's a lot of stuff behind this, like there's the reflections on the water, there's the lighting happening, the shadows are looking, on the proper there. So we'll be able to make, scenes. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. Yeah, I'll be streaming. Like, I think Adam is streaming right now as well. Let me see. So Adam streams every weekend. Yeah, so you can also go check out Adam's stuff. He streams every weekend. He does more of the art and all that. And I stream all the engineering and all that. And we're going to stream as much as we possibly can to kind of document our work. And also, bring awareness to what we're doing. Hopefully, we get some people looking forward to the game. So when we release it, it's not just like, and our game is out, and now we're just broke, and we're gonna move on with our lives because nobody knew about our game. So hopefully, people get to see game development, they get to learn a little bit about game development, and at the same time, hopefully, helps us when we finally do ship, actually have people who are looking forward to it and spreading the word. and have some fun. So, alright, what's the next thing we're gonna do? I think the next thing that we need here is to murder the spider on the wall. Alright, taking care of that problem. Yeah, and streaming stuff is also real nice because, especially Adam, who has more of a following than I do, he'll get a couple people from Unreal have actually jumped onto our streams and been like, whoa, you're doing this wrong, like, here's how you can do this, and that's been real helpful, and stuff like that. Like, when I was working on a bug with the spawning in of this grass, like, it wasn't spawning in all at once when I hit play. It would, fill in grass fields and stuff like that. People post the bug, and then I can go be like, we can solve this problem. And all that. Track stuff down. Okay, so the next thing what we want to do with our material here, I think, is we want... I closed my concept art. We want these wispy clouds that are coming across here, don't we? And we want to throw those in the scene. So, yeah, Unreal has a vested interest in helping people out who are, streaming on Twitch. This is pretty funny. I'll be bitching about stuff all the time. Alright, so we need the clouds. And the cloud textures, I think, should be applied kind of like we've got these starfield textures there that you can see. And those textures are basically this sphere that we have has texture coordinates in the first texture slot. If we actually jump over to our sky sphere has, there's our sky sphere. Yeah, if you looked on the other side of the map, we've got the Nega Moon on the other side. But if we look at our UV coordinates for UV channel 0, it looks like this, and UV channel 1 looks like that. So UV channel 1 actually has like this nice tiled thing surrounding our sphere, so we can actually rely on that inside of our material. We don't have to do crazy stuff, and this is the sky sphere that is out of the box with Unreal. So I'm gonna need a cloud texture though, so let's grab a cloud texture somehow. We'll make one. And every time I make a texture, somebody dies. That's just how bad I am at doing art. So, why is nothing showing up? Oh, it's because I'm using the eraser like a chump. Alright, so kind of our clouds look like... Is there an actual like create clouds button? That would be pretty awesome. Hey, there is a clouds button. Let's see. Is it a tiling texture though? No, I doubt it. Those aren't the right clouds anyway. I can draw better clouds, right? Alright. These are clouds, right? Don't make fun of me. Actually, yeah, everybody can make fun of me because these are awful. Alright, so all we have to do now is blur the hell out of it. What is this transparency plugin? Oh, that's interesting. This can actually help me see where stuff's screwed up. Alright, we'll go ahead and save this as clouds. So let's go ahead and snag that in there. Alright, so we're gonna take our clouds texture, throw it in here. We need a we need to multiply these things by our alpha in order to get it to alpha out. Well, this is going to be what do we want the cloud to look like? We'll multiply it by its alpha just to get it out of the way. And then we want to, kind of like our stars need to be, we need to add the texture in here. We need to add the texture kind of after everything. That's what it seems like. Because we want it. So if we just added this in here, we get this big texture coordinate mess. That doesn't really work very well, does it? Alright, so we could use the zero-based texture coordinates. Let's see how that looks like. So that's kind of just mapped like so. What if we mapped it even harder and look like that? Why have we got this big seam here? Because I'm not seeing that in the preview for our sky sphere. I mean, we're seeing it inside of this one, so it's got to be some geometry stuff. The horizon line is all sorts of weird. Well, how are they doing clouds in their night sky? They were just grabbing the absolute world position and the object position and object radius and all that? There's an ultra dynamic sky thing from the marketplace. I refuse. So we're just using texture coordinate 0 for a lot of these things is what they're doing, and they're just panning across the sky to get that working properly. And the horizon line they're not really even worrying about. Their stuff just doesn't even take that into account. I mean, the texture needs to be rotated by 45 degrees. I mean, 90 degrees. That is true. No. That's all sorts of screwed up. Alright, so these texture coordinates I don't think are super great for this. So I think maybe what we should do instead of using these texture coordinates here is we might want to compute it ourselves. Like, what should the UV be for this thing? It's going to be like we could take the absolute position of the pixel in world space and plug that into them. Float 2 to float 3, yeah, okay. So we would want the Y and the Z. So this would be Y and Z. Alright, and we want to multiply this by something to make it a lot smaller. So we do something like multiply by a constant, which is like 0.1, 0.2, maybe even smaller, 0.11. Let's see if it's something that's messed up here. Yeah, see, this is... I think we screwed up the texture sample node. Because as soon as it went into like that bad state, then I think it got screwed up. We want the clouds. Where are the clouds? Right there. I hate it when this happens. Alright, so it's just screwed up here. Like this is what we're seeing inside of our material, and that's what we're seeing in the game. So obviously we're not saving, and it's all jacked up. So we'll save our stuff real quick, but this is the Unreal Editor again failing us. It's not saving, and there's no indication as to why not. Yeah, and that popping in is something that we had to fix for our game. Alright, so let's see where this thing is messed up. It is... It stopped saving at this point. Alright, well... I don't understand it. I can't change this to 0? Okay, I'm multiplying it by 0. Now I gotta... we're on 4.16. So, you know, latest. So it's not saving, and I can't do anything about it. Like, I can't delete this node and actually get it to work. Well, let's just see if we can figure this out as to why which node is screwing up our save. And if this keeps happening, I'm just gonna rip open the material editor and fix whatever the hell's wrong with it. Because I'm losing work time because of stupid bullshit. What in the fuck? This makes no damn sense as to why this is like this. Well, let's build our lighting and see if that does anything. Something's definitely screwed with this. What the hell is shadow on this thing? The map is warning me that shadow should be false on this skybox. Okay, so it's saying the sky sphere should be cast shadow. Why is cast shadow true? Like, cast shadow should be false. Like, I can't even change it. Alright, alright. Well, let's try this again.